Hello again and welcome to the newest video as I make my way along the World Heritage Site of Hadrian's Wall from one end, Bowness-on-Solway in Cumbria, to my hometown of Wallsend in the mouth of the River Tyne via Northumberland. My name is Brian James, that Micro Four Thirds guy. I'm a professional photographer and entertainer who now lives near Carlisle. Now if you've not done so already, then can I ask you to look below and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get notifications of all my future videos. Plus, if you enjoy it, then please give the video a thumbs up to get the YouTube to spread it to more people to see. Oh, and there's also a PayPal link below if you'd like to leave a donation for a coffee. I left you last time at the Roman Army Museum at Walltown as I passed from Cumbria into Northumbria following my route. There's a link to that video above. Now I did leave a question of how a thief can cover half the length of England in mere minutes. Well, watch to the end and I'll tell you. Now it's been a long time since my last Hadrian's Wall video. Although I shot this one some weeks ago, I ran into some copyright issues before I could release it, so thanks for waiting so patiently. My first port of call on this leg was the Caulfield Quarry and Milecastle 42. The terrain here becomes more difficult as we'll see, and it shows just how good this area was as a natural defence for the edge of the Roman Empire. As I approach, I can see the sheer face of the cliffs whose contour the wall followed. It's a lovely sunny warm day, yet still appears a foreboding place. Just imagine this in the winter. The visitors' car park is immaculate, like most of the visitor facilities along the wall, and it leads us to a small body of water at the foot of the cliffs. The natural stone on the cliff reminds me of a Disney-style ride in one of the parks in America, but unlike those attractions which look amazing with their fiberglass creations, these rocks are the real thing. Now a huge amount of time and effort has been spent on maximising access to those less able and those with disabilities, but it's not always possible on an 18-year-old site. Caulfield was my first real test in this area. I'm registered disabled and walked with a stick for several years, but I try to avoid it being a problem wherever possible. But I also fell early in the year too and injured my left arm. The steep climb up to the top of the hill using the stones worn smooth from generations of people before me made it a very difficult path. The only handhold was a safety wire. Difficult, especially as my remaining good hand was holding a couple of grand's worth of camera. But I hate to be beaten, and so off I set to the top. I could already see from where I was that the view was going to be magnificent. And I wasn't wrong. The day was clear and I could see well over the border into Scotland. I did laugh though at the danger sudden drop sign restricting access to the end of the wall itself. When I realised what was there, for sudden read vertical drop. I looked down the access path and could see my next port of call, the Milecastle relics, and I realised just how difficult it was for me to get down again. It took me over 10 minutes to get the short distance from the top to the bottom. I then headed off to the Milecastle building. Built on a hill, it gave superb visibility whilst retaining its defensive advantage to the north. I looked out and back to the hill I just descended and realised what a hardy lot our forebears really were. Imagine this in a Northumbrian winter with 6 to 8 foot high snowdrifts common in the area. The Milecastle guards an area known as Hole Gap, an area of open land which would otherwise have been a weak point in the defences. Back to the car park and into the van to head to my next port of call, the amazingly preserved village of Vindolanda, a mile or so to the south of the wall itself. To get to the site, it's easy and again well provided for access. Here there is no difficulty for anyone to come and see everything, whether walking or in a wheelchair, with well laid out paths and access points. Now access to the site costs less than £10, including parking, and that money is put to very obvious use when you see the amount of archaeological work ongoing on the site. Now, I've mentioned costs, so just a reminder, I rely totally on the support of the viewers of this channel to keep it going, either by watching the advertisements or by you buying me a coffee using the PayPal link below. Anything donated really is appreciated and really is used. As you enter the site, you enter a lovely little visitor centre before going through to the ruins themselves. Vindolanda was a thriving town with all sorts of amenities we expect in a town today. It didn't just house soldiers, but traders and their families too. There are houses, places of worship, workshops, a tavern, shops, public baths and more. What really is amazing is the level of sophistication of the services provided. Piped spring water, underfloor central heating, remote sanitation and much more. Items we consider modern, yet this was 1,800 years ago in remote Northumberland. Many of those facilities are still easy to see today. Let's just take a few minutes to look at some of the photos on the site, and don't forget to keep watching to find out the answer to my question, plus to find out if I completed the task today. Oh, and while we're on, don't forget to leave a comment or two below. I really love reading them. Here you can see two recreations of the wall as it probably appeared. Firstly, as an earthen bank with a wooden fencing on top and a mile castle. This was the original incarnation of the wall's defences. It's easy to see how difficult it would have been to get through the defence such as this. Going through the gateway, we are met by the later development, the stone wall and turret. Today, we think of the wall as something only a few feet high at the most, and it's difficult to imagine it in its full glory. But this three-storey building gives a realistic idea to the size and stature of the construction as it would have been at the time, especially when people come into the shot to give it a sense of perspective. Now remember, this building is 3 stories high here, but it's part of a building which was also 74 miles long. Now think back to the earlier shots of Caulfield and imagine a wall this size built on its top. Quite incredible. I left Vindolanda and headed back north to rejoin the wall and continue my journey. My intention was to reach the fabulous and world famous Sycamore Gap. Now, back to that question I posed earlier about how a thief could travel half the length of England in minutes. Well, if you've seen the film Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner, you'll have seen him battling the Sheriff of Nottingham's men at Sycamore Gap. Minutes later, he's almost 200 miles away in Sherwood Forest near Nottingham. Isn't the film wonderful? Now, as I said earlier in the video, I have some difficulty in walking, but I was not overly worried until I saw the climb to continue. Is the Sycamore Gap the other side of that hill? I asked a woman from the opposite direction. Oh yes, she says, and over the next couple after that. I guess this was one walk my disability would beat me on. So I never reached the gap on this visit. The last thing anyone would have needed would be a rescue team being sent out for a 59-year-old guy with a gammy leg. And anyway, I was too hot and too tired to keep trying today. But where there's a will, there's a way, they say. So as it was a walk back to the van, a regroup, and a plan to reach it from the other side to start my next leg of my journey. Let's see if I can make it to the start from there next time. Now, as usual, if you've enjoyed this video, then can I ask you to do a simple task for me? Below the video you'll find a subscribe link. Please click on it to see more of my videos, and if you click on the bell symbol beside it, you'll receive notifications whenever I post something new. Also, if you click a thumbs up to like this video, it tells YouTube to promote it to more people so they'll get the opportunity to see some of the north of England and South Scotland's amazing heritage through the eyes of a local photographer. Even better, it costs you nothing more than a couple of seconds to do. And it means so much to me, really does. Thanks for watching.